Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. This is a 25-year reflection on the November 14th, 1992 edition of WWE's Saturday Night's Main Event, where notable for one major title change and for being the last appearance by a couple superstars for a number of years. And also, this was the final Saturday Night's Main Event that WWE produced along with NBC until July 2006, so it was actually almost 14 years. And it probably was a good show to go out on. Vince was going to be starring Monday Night Raw very soon after this. In fact, less than 2 months before this after this event happened. And also, it might have just had to do with contracts. It might not have to do with anything as far as ratings being low or whatever. They may have just had a parting of the ways. I'm not exactly sure on all that stuff. But anyway, the whole thing is you had 3 title matches, and it was a pretty good show. Now, I mean, it wasn't great, and this won't be a very long very long review, rather. Yeah, obviously it wasn't a pay-per-view, it was a TV taping. It was only 42 minutes, and that's with commercials taken out. It was Survivor Series 1992 heavy, hyped a lot of Survivor Series, and it was really, really good that it did hype it. You had Money Inc. with Jimmy Hart, face the Ultimate Maniacs, Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior, who were going to be facing Razor Ramon and Ric Flair at Survivor Series 92 just very soon after this. This is when Warrior is wearing the singlet because he hadn't been working out as religiously, and he shockingly sold decently. I was actually a little bit surprised. It's probably the most I saw Warrior sell in any kind of match, and maybe that's because he was working with Savage, who these guys had just faced off against each other at SummerSlam 92, and of course Money Inc. in a class all by themselves of being really good workers, even at the end of their careers like they were here. DiBiase would only wrestle for about another year before retiring due to neck and back issues. And Jimmy Hart, of course, was with them, one of the top 3 greatest managers of all time. Starts as a brawl, Savage and Warrior, brawl with them. And it's also a tag team title match, so you weren't going to see a tag title switch here. It was decent but short, and of course Money Inc. gets counted out after a bit. And then Razor Ramon and Ric Flair attack the Ultimate Maniacs when they get to the entranceway. And it was just a way to hype, the match they were going to have at Survivor Series 92, which got switched around because Ultimate Warrior got fired for, buying HGH, roids, whatever the hell it was. And Mr. Perfect replaced Ultimate Warrior, which actually turned into a pretty damn good match, better than what Ultimate Warrior would have done, because Warrior working with Flair would have been ridiculous. Even though I'm sure they might have worked together on some house shows, and Warrior is shit. Shit human being and shit, and not that Dana's any better. I'll get into that rant another time. Actually, I already ranted kind of on that in a lot of reviews before. So anyway, still fun little tag team match, even if it didn't last very long. And then you had Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog for the IC title. It's good. Best match of the show, clearly. Power versus speed. Bulldog lost the title and was fired right after, and it's really a shame because I think the Bulldog would have been the champion going into Mania 9. Hooray, Mania 9, the best Mania of all time, if you didn't have a brain and then, decided to put shit in your head instead of a brain. And then still Mania 9 wouldn't have been that good. But Bulldog had his arm worked over after doing a very impressive, lift up from a seated position. Really, really good. Really good that he did that to Shawn. Then there was an exposed turnbuckle that affected Bulldog's back. Superplex off the top. Bulldog's strength couldn't hold him. Shawn Michaels gets on top of him, from the superplex. 1, 2, 3. New IC champion. And it was really good. It was really fun. It was a really fun match. It was short, but it was the longest match on the show, but it was good psychology. And of course you have promos from Flair and Ramon, promos from Bret Hart, promo from Shawn and Bret after Bret's successful title defense against Papa Shango, which actually was a pretty good match. It's not an underrated classic by any stretch of the imagination. It was a short TV match, but it did show that Papa Shango, if they had stuck with the character, might have actually done something. But unfortunately, the whole thing it did with Warrior was ridiculous. I mean, absolutely goddamn ridiculous. I mean, it just was. It was just such shit. Such absolute shit. But Papa Shango showed his own here. I mean, he proved himself here. He proved he could go with Bret Hart. Bret got a pretty good match out of him for, again, a short TV match. And it was enjoyable. Not the greatest thing ever. but enjoyable for what it was. And then you had the funeral parlor with Undertaker showing a video package of Undertaker getting the coffin ready for Kamala. In the coffin match, they would write Kamala off of TV for a while. I think he came back to WWE, or came back for a little bit, and then was written off and then went to WCW because that was a great idea. Let's bring everybody Vince had in here, even though WCCW actually used Kamala a hell of a lot better than Vince ever did. And that's when Kamala still has legs under him. Sorry, cheap joke. The guy should have taken better care of himself. But the funeral parlor promo was pretty cool. Taker, of course, keeping his words short and sweet. Paul Bearer doing the talking for him. It was good. Bret and Shawn faced off. Faced off before Survivor Series 92, not Electric Boogaloo. And this, 5 years later, almost 5 years after, after this event, they would face off in the infamous Montreal Screwjob. But anyway, that's my short review of this. It's a really fun event to watch. It's really fun, especially if you want to see, what led up to Survivor Series 92 and how things changed all of a sudden. I mean, imagine if they'd had Bulldog versus Bret and you hadn't had Shawn win the title there. It would have been kind of interesting. But anyway, what do you guys think of this Saturday night's main event? What do you think of Saturday night's main event as a whole from 85 to 92? What do you think of the revival? I mean, not the tag team. What do you think of the Saturday night's main event revival? Didn't care for it necessarily myself. But what do you guys think? Anyway, leave in the comments. Like, share, subscribe also. Been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you all soon.